They'll be calling you a radical. I want to lay out the details of the anti-nuclear fight, my anti-nuclear fight, the anti-nuclearism, nuclear bombs, our nuclear energy, period. So it looks like I'm going to fly the 20th to LA. So I'm going to stay in LA. I'll be there for a week. You know, if I get down to San Diego, I'll just take the train down to San Diego, San Onofre. So the hearing's the 22nd in Capistrano. So it's going to be important, and it's going to be powerful, and I want to talk about this. Then I'll lay this detail out, and then I want to talk about what's going on in Scandinavia, in Denmark, in Norway, and Sweden, Germany, Austria, the whole region, Italy, France. So it's a big deal as far as the San Onofre shutdown here. Why? Because the whole western United States is sunlight, 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 sunlight. It's a giant desert. Right here where I live in northern Utah, not southern, the sun shines 300 days a year. The whole western United States is a giant freaking desert. The sun shines all day, every day. And solar took the field a long time ago. California's producing so much solar. This is California saying it, Utah's saying it, everybody, they have nowhere to put it. California's producing 70% more energy today than they will consume today, every day. There's some reports they're producing 125% more of what they're using. So the argument goes, of course, okay, then the fight that's going on at Turkey Point, Indian Point, Oyster Creek is shut down. You know, there's so many of these things we're battling all over. So it's an old, outdated, ridiculous fucking, you know, energy that we do not use. It's filthy. It's anybody trying to push nuclear should just have to say one word: Fukushima, the ongoing catastrophe. And surprise, surprise for all you guys in Oregon. So as you know, they crashed RADNET when it crashed down. I'll get back to Indian Point, and I'll get back to Sweden and Norway. As you know, they crashed it. Surprise, surprise. So I've been tracking the Copper River, and the Alaska Fish and Game and Wildlife does this really beautiful job in documenting the fish. They have sonar in. Now you know they've collapsed over the Copper. Southern Oregon's totally collapsed. Right now in the Rogue hatchery there's a total of 600 fish. There should be tens of thousands. So as it goes forward, the surprise, surprise, so the Copper River run, you can find them, they're about this thin. They're little teeny things. So the sonar, I've been tracking it every day. It was total collapse. I mean collapse. So June 6th, last year they had 50,000 fish in the river come up. June 6th this year they had 9,000. June 7th they had right around 50,000. June 7th this year, less than 8,000. 55,000 June 8th. Less than 7,000. So I mean, they're panicking up there, I'm telling you. And they're coming in, they're little teeny things. So surprise, surprise. Guess what? The last 2 days, the website's down. I've had multiple people check it. Nobody can get on it. Surprise, surprise, on peak day, May 1st, May 2nd, May 3rd, as the entire Puget Sound was emerging close. Surprise, surprise. You know, we've been watching that live cam on the Bonneville for years and years and years. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Oh, it didn't work on peak days. Isn't it amazing? It's all coincidence, just like RADNET crashes. So then, it looks like this is tentatively, back to New York the end of July. And I got a whistleblower, and I've had him for a while, and he's been with me, and he's been hesitant going to camera. He said he's going to sit down with us and talk about the leaky spent fuel pools at Indian Point. I told him, you need to do it, you know. You've seen him on camera with me, you know. I'm not going to tell you who he is because, you know, he's the spent fuel welder. He's been inside there for decades, for years. He says they've been leaking the whole time, and the NRC, the nuclear out cheerleader, has just been lying and playing ball with the corruption. So he says, again, of course he's told me this before, that he'll go on camera, we'll sit down and do this. At the end of July, there's supposedly an event going to go as far as the shutdown of Indian Point. Now I'm going to help organize it, and I'm working with it towards the end of July. So I'll be in New York City the end of July. Probably around the 26th, 27th of July, it looks like, for a while. Now, back to Sweden. So Sweden has come out today. Now, after Fukushima happened, you know, Merkel was trying to weasel back in. Germany said, we're done with nuclear. Well, they were trying to extend the date that they were done with nuclear, and then Fukushima happened, so forget extend it. They expedited it. Now, as you know, I was at Frieda Meisenblauer's house. I didn't know she had cancer. No, she didn't tell anyone, by the way. She was ready for me. She set up the meeting, Pravad, the great anti-nuclear activist, Indian nuclear lies, who's something else. I mean, I got to tell you how powerful that was and how lucky I was to get to be with her. She passed in December, probably the greatest living anti-nuclear activist, maybe environmentalists ever, in our era for sure. No, I think there's no doubt about it, She was amazing, There's one reactor over there, you can go shoot movies, it never got fueled. 2 weeks, one person got it shut down. One person, her. One person blocked the dam on the Danube in Vienna, her. Like I said, here's the difference between a real grassroots, hardcore, great environmentalist, and she fought Hitler. She grew up in the same town. She told me stories about, she was writing a newsletter going after him and going about the whole cabal that was supporting him, and you got to realize the apparatus, who was supporting what, how, when. So that part of the world, they don't have the option we have, which all sun. I got to tell you, when I was in Denmark last year, I spent a lot of time there. It is amazing how good they are. My family, my bloodline's there, but what they do with wind and solar alternative is incredible. We don't need wind here. We've got enough solar. You wouldn't believe it over there. I mean, anybody that's been in that part of the world, what they've done in the North Sea, so Denmark has no nuclear power. They import, that people say, oh, they import some, less than 3%. From what I understand, I was told this today by a great, smart Dane, that it was less than 2%. My doctor, who saved my life. Born and raised in Copenhagen. That Danish philosophy of medicine saved my life. And I want to talk a little bit about this too while I'm on this subject. I was asked to do this about PET scans and CAT scans when you're sick. He made the decision. I was really deathly sick, everybody turned on me and they bone marrow biopsy, and all the other doctors wanted to go and PET scan with me again. He said, no, he can't do it. It's too dangerous. So he didn't do it. And so I had very, very light radiation. Dr. Thompson was the very last guy there. I have 4 tattoos at me, and they were very nervous about it. And he said, no more PET scans. I had to have a PET scan and a CAT scan, and then after to see if it worked, the chemo was working. I'm one of those miracle patients that chemo did work, because it rarely does work, but it did work on me. And so, and I did it without a bone marrow. As you know, I sat right there and did my prayer. I'm the first guy, he says, my Danish doctor says, I'm the first human being he knows of in the world that has willingly done this without a bone marrow transplant, AML-OS de novo, and survived. There's been others that survived, but they didn't willingly. They were sent home to die. And so, avoid the CAT scan and the PET scan. There's other ways, and they're called bone marrow biopsies. They lay on your back and they dig into your hip and they dig your bone marrow out. Now, our little doctor right there, as they dig it out of your hip, the heirs, they don't want the heirs. She stands right there. She's a little teeny Asian girl. She's amazing. She's amazing. She says, oh no. She does the smear cells and physically carries them herself, because the air is what kills so many people. So back to Sweden. Now, Sweden, they threw in with Hitler. People say they didn't. Oh, yes, they did. They sold all the iron. They allowed the troops to go into Russia through there. You got to realize what kind of war was going on there. Now, in Helsinki, they tried to get that one reactor, one activist. You don't think one activist makes them out of Frieda Meisenblauer? Just like Frieda. Well, he's there. I talked to him, back and forth online. He got him shut down. They're trying to move back in again. So, believe it or not, they're trying to move back in Denmark again. It ain't happened. Now, Annie Lund is the one who made the logo. I did all those videos standing right there in that square, right there. That's where she did those. I'll post this. Those are some of the most incredible protests of anti-nuclearism history. They're so grand. And of course, Norway, there's no nuclear there. They say, well, they import a little bit. I can't tell you. My daughter's named Fimbo and he's Dane because he was born right after the war, and the Norwegians fought back so hard, blew up the heavy water, did all the great work. You got to realize that Hitler invaded freaking Denmark for the umpteenth time, and Norway for the umpteenth. They fought, and they've been fighting for years and years and years. That's how my grandmother got here. You know, and my grandfather, because her husband and the father-child was killed by the Prussians again. I says, how'd that happen? Oh, they killed them all for the 30th umpteenth time. So Sweden has 6 nuclear reactors, supplies, you know, a percentage of their thing. So they came out after Fukushima, and they even says, okay, just like Denmark, just like thing, it's written into law by 2040, it's going to be, you know, all alternatives, solar, wind, and like I said, you go over there and you see it. It's amazing. I went to a town in northern Denmark, 100% on wind and some solar, the whole thing. I mean, all of it. It's amazing how good they are, and they're so logical. I mean, they figure it out, and I think the Swedes will figure it out. But you know, right now, so it got voted. Now, don't let this mislead you that they're going to build new reactors there. No, these other ones are ready to go. They're not like here in the United States, just let them go park them off the side of the curb, no answer for the waste. You know, let's just spread it all over, ticking time bombs, tick-tock, tick-tock, San Onofre. By the way, the earthquake at San Diego, 5.2, oh, I'm telling you, you don't know what kind of freak of bullet you're dodging down there with San Onofre like I know. Those spent fuel pools cannot handle a 6.6, and I tell you, you're going to get one, and then it's over. I mean, it's over. That's the kind of freaking Russian roulette you're playing. I mean, you're playing Russian roulette, and you're running out of chambers real fast, and there's a loaded bullet in there, and I'm here to tell you. So they're trying to weasel through the law, and this is the nuclear cartel. Now, of course, in France, Arriva's gone broke. There's no answer for the waste. By the way, Sweden does not mine any of the uranium. They don't store it there. So, of course, then there's the whole Russian dynamic and the whole war in Chernobyl, the proxy war the United States and Russia is fighting in Ukraine. Oh, my God. And Norway, the reindeer have picked up 2014, again, a major spike in the rain. You know, they monitor the hell out of those. Those are the last indigenous people on Earth, you know, and that's the mainstay of the diet. And so, major spike again in 2014, I believe it was the militia dump that was blown by the CIA proxy war in the Ukraine. You know, the Tsar, he's back. You know, this chess game these freaking royals are playing. So Sweden says they're going to rebuild those reactors when the law was originally in spirit that to get rid of all nuclear, which I still believe that's the law in spirit, and I think a lot of Swedes still believe that. Now in Germany, they've accelerated. I mean, they're doing it. You know, of course, the nuclear cartel. So in Italy, they tried to move back in 2012, Westinghouse and gang, the nuclear crime family, and look it up. The mob kneecapped one of them, says get out. There's a great Spanish activist anti-nuclear who was imprisoned while I was there. I was in Vienna, and I want you to read this great piece, what's going on in Fukushima as far as the bag waste. Now this doesn't say it all to you in Japan. I mean, hello, so when I was in Vienna, I was there when they got permission to get rid of in Fukushima, by law, you have to list the origin. So they can bring it here in Energy Solutions, which, you know, they bring the Italian waste, whatever, they can bring to their big flooded out pit in Texas, right on Carlsbad. They're bringing it to WIP. Obama says, and the Department of Energy said, we're bringing it to WIP. The Moxie fuel in Japan, we sent 91, Riva-ification, Arriva lied, they have no thing. Arriva went broke. I was at the IA when the CEO, there's a video of him right in front of me, going right in. You know, as I got detained inside the UN, and then they saved me. By the time they detained me, wouldn't let me in. By the time I was done, they loved me taking pictures with me. By the way, their security there is awesome. They're great, you know. And so, in Vienna, so they got permission while I was there to delist place of origin on their waste. Well, why would they do that? Because they have 30 million bags. It's stacked everywhere. You read this, and you tell me that you're still pro-nuclear. So SOAR took the field here in the western United States. So San Onofre, there's no argument. Diablo, they make up 19% of it. That's a lie. They don't make any. They don't make any. As Freedom Eyes about our first words, Kevin, you know a nuclear power plant takes more electricity to run than they produce. And I says, I do know that. She says, very few people know that. I says, oh, I know that. You know, uranium mines, the storage of the waste, the storage of the waste, the storage of the waste. You have to keep them fuel pools cool. You know, so they rule that the NRC, who has no power, that all 104 reactors, which we're down to 85 bottles of beer on the wall, take one down, pass it around, we're going to be down to 84 pretty soon. We're getting them already. They're part of our official nuclear waste dumps. That was Harry Reid's all done, which is illegal. One of the circuit courts has upheld that rule. It's going to end up at the Supreme Court, you know, of Alito and Roberts, who an illegitimate president placed there. I mean, that whole dog and pony show. So anyway, so here's the alternative. I land in LA, it looks like the 20th. I'll get a ticket tomorrow, it looks like. I'll be there for a while at LAX, and I'll be at that hearing on the 22nd. We'll do some work, you know, around LA, of course, at the Pacific Ocean. Maybe we'll do something for the, you know, summer solstice. Happy New Year. Then, in New York, it looks like we're going to have an event on at the end of July on Indian Point. Now, it's still, I was just asked this today if I would come and do, you know, and so I'll do it. And back in New York, we'll stay there for a few days. We'll do some work on Indian Point, Oyster Creek, you know, Fitzpatrick, all of them. And then maybe tentatively in November in Vienna, and or hopefully maybe in earlier August, I'll get back to Copenhagen and, you know, do some work there. Norway, no nuclear. They do import 2 or 3%, same with Denmark, but it's getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. They're on track to get rid of it. Germany's on track. Switzerland, they came out and says, we're done. They're on track. We don't need it anymore. And by the way, that we never needed it. And if you believe in it, I want you to just look up those pictures of what the Enola Gay did at Hiroshima. And you people that say we had to do that, it's total bullshit. Total bullshit. You know, we didn't need to do that. How come we let the Emperor stand? Because it's all the royals. They're back. And just remember, Sweden has reactors. They don't store the waste in Sweden. They don't mine uranium, Sweden, and they freaking stood with Hitler. There's Hitler's, you know, and Japan, come on, let's get real. And I'll tell this to the Department of Energy when I'm down there. Let's get real. Enough blaming this Japan bullshit. The ex-prime minister who I've talked to personally, you know, he's in San Diego all the time. Hopefully he'll be there. You know, thank you, Micah Gary, our new Atticus. He's awesome. You know, and Mia, they are awesome. You know, and so he'll be there. So let's quit blaming Japan. That whole dog and pony show is 100% ran by the Department of Energy, the United States, and it's always been ran. And you look at those big signs at I put them on my Facebook page at Hanford, and out there where they nuked my father and gave me leukemia before I was even born, the Nevada test site. You know, look at those signs they put up. I mean, you look at this, the cover-up has been since the day Russell's baby, Rockefeller's baby, Roosevelt's baby, no, Russell's baby, since the day. So, okay, so LA, the 20th, I'll be there for a while. We'll do a lot of work there. Then, looks like New York about the 26th of July, there for a while. Then, after that, maybe to Copenhagen, you know, for a while. I want to get up to Finland. So if I go to Copenhagen, I'm going to go to Helsinki, and I want to meet this great activist, because they're trying to weasel in another reactor there, and they don't need it, you know. And like I said, they're amazing. I mean, you look at you go over there and you see their wind farms, and so they'll blow your mind how amazing they are. I mean, they're works of art. They're incredible. They're incredible, and you know, so. Thank you to everybody in Austria. Thank you to everybody in Germany that supported me. Thank you to everybody in Denmark. I mean, in Vienna, you know, wow. And New York, you know, so see you then. See you in LA, but, you know, read through these articles and, you know, keep moving this freaking thing. We got a lot of wind behind ourselves right now. A lot of fucking wind behind ourselves. You know, we've won this war. Us grassrooters, and you know, the trolls that go after us, let the fucking trolls go, because that's exactly what they are. What's a troll? A troll just sits around the internet, just attacks everybody else, sits in his basement. A troll is a fucking troll. We all know what a troll. You know, they spin, they dice, a troll's a troll, you know. And what's the opposite of a troll? Kevin Blanch, out in the street. That's where you got to go to the street. You got to get out, and oh boy, do I. And I'm not afraid to do the dirty work and the good work, because I'll tell you what. Fimbo says it just like this. My Danish philosophy fucking doctor who saved me. He says, Kevin, he says, I agree with you now. He says, your activism saved your life. For the angels that pass in front of me, that the nuclear cartel, my father, Annika, all of them. Oh, I fear no evil, for they watch out over me. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For he comforts me, he's with me. And so I know that the powers there be, whatever God you believe in, whatever spiritual being you believe in, I don't know what it is. I call it the light, you know, Christian, Muslim, you know, Judas, whatever, pagan. You know, I don't know what it is, but I know that it's protected me, and I know that it's watching out over me, and I know that. It took me a long time, but after everything I've been through, you know, I should have passed. I should have died, and I didn't die, and all my friends that died, and I